Hello everyone, welcome to a new review at ChinaMobileMag.com. My name is Christopher and today I am having a look at the Kingzone K1S / K1 Turbo. So if you don't know about Kingzone yet, don't worry, this brand is fairly new. They already had some phones on the Chinese market in the past, but none of these phones made it outside of the Chinese market. The Kingzone K1 / K1S is actually the first one to make it outside, and it is already gaining a decent popularity, so let's have a look at it and see how it is. Let's first start with the packaging and its contents, and the Kingzone K1 comes in this package with the phone on the top and a Kingzone logo as well as the K1 K series imprint on top, and here we see it's a 5.5-inch phone. On the sides we have again a Kingzone logo, the K1 series imprint, another K1 imprint, and here we see a little QR code which leads us to the manufacturer's homepage and so on. And on the rear we find some specs about the phone. Well, inside the package there is a wall charger with a USB plug, in our case with a German wall plug. Then we got a silicon bumper, so everyone who does not order the wireless charging case with the phone has still some decent protection for it. Then the phone comes with a screen protector. We have headphones which actually are pretty nice. They have a clear audio quality and a decent bass playback. However, they are not high-end, but still better than those usual Chinese headphones. And we also have a micro USB cable and even an OTG adapter comes with the phone, which is pretty rare with Chinese phones, but nice to have, because if a phone supports OTG and you don't have a cable, you don't need to buy one. And then we also have a bit of paperwork. We have a product warranty card and the user manual, which is written in English and covers some basics about the phones as well as the operating system. And now I'm also showing you the wireless charging cover, which has to be ordered separately for around 16 euros. And it comes in this little package. It says smart leather case. Well, actually it is not leather. It feels kinda cheap, but still the quality is not bad at all. It's very solid with a plastic case on the rear, and the phone does not always turn on and off. When you move this flap, you have to open it 100% for the phone to turn on, so that's a plus. It works way better than most of these cheap flip covers that come with Chinese phones. Also, no openings of the phone are covered. There are openings for everything on the phone, and when I flip it open, here you see the wireless charging induction coil, and this attached to the phone on the side using those little pins. So that's about the package contents and the flip cover. Okay, now let's look at the phone itself, and yes, it does look a bit like a Huawei S10 P6, but actually there are quite some design elements made by Kingzone themselves, so it's not a complete knockoff. So let's look at the details of the design. Well, on the front we first notice this little plastic base. It's a little bit rounded, looking very nice, and here we have the phone call speaker. Here we have a status LED which can light up in red, green and blue, and we have a little sensor bar with gesture control sensor, light sensor and proximity sensor, and here we have the front camera. Below the screen we find these usual soft touch buttons, which are not with icons here but with dots instead. Here we have 3 dots for menu, 4 for home and 3 for back. And we again have this little rounded plastic piece, and when looking at the sides we immediately notice that a real metal frame comes to use here, and they actually placed all the ports on the side. So we have here a micro USB port with OTG support. Here we have the connector for the wireless charging case, and here we have the headphone jack. And on the bottom we only find the voice microphone. On the right side we find a laser engraved K-series imprint and the on-off switch, as well as the volume rocker. And those buttons are actually made of metal as well, and they have a great pressure point and they do not move around. All in all, very high build quality, nothing is clattering around when shaking the phone or something, so that's definitely a plus again. At the top we find nothing. On the rear we have the main camera, which has 14 megapixels. We have a LED flash, we have an environment microphone, we have a Kingzone logo, a Kingzone imprint, a NFC, OTG and Wi-Fi imprint, a media speaker opening, and some barcode for which represents the model number or the serial number of the phone. To open it up, you simply have to place your hands on the metal plate on the rear, move it downwards, and then it simply pops off. And here you can see the large battery, as well as a normal SIM card slot, a micro SIM card slot, and a micro SD card slot. And the phone is actually quite heavy with 190 grams, but most of it is the battery. And as you notice, the inside of the phone, the chassis itself, is not made from metal, which is a plus, because this would have made the weight much more higher, probably above 200 grams. So it's good that they used plastics in here. It's still very tough, so that's not a downside of the design. Regarding the screen, I have to say that Kingzone has built a pretty nice panel inside there. It has 5.5 inches in size, and depending on the model you have either 720p resolution or 1080p resolution. I have the model with 1080p resolution and 2 GB of RAM here. So the screen is actually pretty good. It has an amazing quality, it's really sharp, great contrast, everything nice. The colors are also pretty good and has a pretty good color reproduction, but the colors are not as intense as with other screens. So if it is a downside or not, it definitely is a thing of the point of view. Some people like really intense colors, some people like it less intense, so this screen is probably the best for people who like less intense colors. When looking at the pixels, those are pretty small, you can't see them with the naked eye. Through the camera you might see them a little bit, but it's really hard to see them. And also the brightness of the screen is really nice, even though it could be a bit higher for outdoor use. When looking at the screen from the sides, we notice that the viewing angles are pretty much perfect. Nothing changed in terms of colors or visibility, only the brightness is going down a little bit, but that's something we are used to by now. Okay, before I come to the benchmark results of the phone, first another thing. The phone does support gesture control, so you can swipe through the home screens with your hand in both directions. It's a little bit hard to do now with the camera in front of me, but I think you have seen that. And it also does support swipe up to open the app drawer and swipe down to close it again. And you also can swipe through websites without touching the screen, so that's pretty nice. But now let's come back to topics. So first, the benchmark results of Antutu, and here the phone reached 27,816 points, which is pretty nice for a 1080p MT6592 based phone. And when looking at the bar chart, we see that it is located between the Samsung Galaxy S4 and the Xiaomi Redmi Note. And next stop is obviously the 3D Mark benchmark, and here the phone reached 6,649 points in the iStorm Unlimited benchmark and 4,554 points in the iStorm Extreme benchmark, as well as 6,470 points in the iStorm benchmark. Next, the Wilhelmo benchmark, and here the phone reached 2006 points in the HTML5 test and 704 points in the metal test. And last but not least, the GFX bench test, and here the phone reached a score of 563 points. Okay, next stop is, as usual, the reception quality of the phone, and here I have to say that the phone is really performs surprisingly good for a phone that has so many metal pieces around it. So Kingzone has done a great job at manufacturing the antennas and placing them inside the phone. The phone has almost always full GSM reception, and also 3G is working most of the time. Let me just quickly demonstrate that by turning on the 3G connection. And here we see we already have H+, so it's working perfectly well. Also Wi-Fi reception is working flawlessly within the whole house, no signal losses even outside in the garden. And Bluetooth was working just as well with 50 meters of range under free view. NFC is also working. Now some people are complaining that it is not working perfectly, but actually the antenna is not that large. It's just placed somewhere up here and it's pretty small, so you need to align it perfectly onto the device you want to work with or the NFC tag, else it won't recognize the tag or the phone. So if it's not working for you, try to align the phone up here to the antenna of the device you want to connect with, and it should work. Also noteworthy is that NFC is also working up here on the front, so it doesn't matter if you touch the phone with the screen onto another device or with the rear, it will work. Next is GPS reception, and here the Kingzone K1 did surprise me personally again, because the GPS performance is pretty good for a phone with so many metal pieces around it. So after around 1 minute or a bit above 1 minute, which is a bit high, it reached a fix for 7 satellites and an accuracy of 3 meters. However, when trying it again, it went faster from then on. So you don't need to do any software side hacks to get this working. Inside the house, in front of a window, it reached a fix for 4 satellites and 6 meters of accuracy. And inside the house, without any window nearby, in the middle of the house, we had again 6 satellites and 7 meters of accuracy. And still the signal strength of the satellites is pretty high, so you shouldn't get into issues when doing GPS navigation on the go. So let's do the usual multimedia test now, and for this purpose I first open a 1080p video that comes preloaded onto the phone. It's actually a little trailer of the Kingzone K1, so have a look at that. So as you were able to see, this is playing in a really nice quality and smooth. Nothing to complain about here. So next step is the audio quality of the internal speaker, and I have to say that this speaker is pretty good and kind of the best speaker I've ever heard within the €200 range. So it's actually pretty close to the Oppo Find 7, even though it does not quite reach the same audio quality. So it's pretty loud, it does not make scratchy noises, and it has a decent bass playback. The phone is actually vibrating when listening to music with that. So let me just play a little YouTube video for audio demonstration. Here we go. So as you were able to hear, the internal speaker sounds pretty good, and the audio output through the headphone jack is actually not that good, it's average, but this can be improved by using Viper 4FX, so that should not be a problem for most of you. Now another important part about the Kingzone K1/K1S is the camera, as Kingzone advertises it to be a Sony camera with 14 megapixels and a front camera with 8 megapixels and autofocus support. So you would expect pretty good images from this phone, and actually it does provide a pretty good performance in terms of camera. The rear camera really has 14 megapixels of native resolution and really appears to be a Sony camera. When the lighting conditions are good, you really get amazing shots with a great quality and great depth of field. It really can keep up with a digital camera in case you don't want to carry around two devices. But as soon as the lighting conditions went bad, the camera creates noisy images and sometimes even blurry images, so that's not really nice. And actually the internal LED flash is not of any help here, as it is not bright enough. Also, when doing 1080p videos, the camera does not create such a good quality like in pictures, and the colors actually are not that nicely reproduced as well when it comes to videos. So why is that? I have no idea, but well, it's a bit sad. The front camera actually makes pretty good pictures without much noise and really sharp, so you can definitely make great selfies with it, and thanks to the autofocus support you will also be able to create macro or close-up images with the camera and they will still be sharp, so that's definitely a plus. And well, under daylight you will have a lot of fun with the camera of the Kingzone K1/K1S. Another important part about any smartphone, of course, is the battery performance, and we are used to seeing MT6592 octa-core phones with 2000 mAh batteries, and this is not quite enough. And Kingzone actually has built a 2500 mAh battery inside the K1/K1S, and you definitely notice that even if the difference is not that high. You easily get over the day with one charged battery, that's not a problem. If you save some energy, so staying away from 100% brightness and stay away from games, you can even reach 1.5 to 2 days. So the battery is actually not that bad inside of there. Charging the battery takes around 1.5 to 2 hours. If you are on the go for a longer time and are not sure about getting on some power socket, you probably should purchase 2 batteries to carry around with you. This can be of help. Okay, let's come to the final conclusion, and I have to say that I am pretty amazed by the Kingzone K1. It definitely is one of the most beautiful phones you can get from China within the 200 euros range or $240 range. It definitely is an amazing phone. It has a great design, a great build quality, the camera is good if the lighting conditions are good, the screen is good, we have great reception quality, and the battery life is also okay for such a phone. The only downsides of it are probably the light bleeding that is present here at the soft touch keys, and also the camera, which does not create quite good images when the lighting conditions are bad. Another downside for some might be the immense heat production at the top of the phone during gaming. This can get real uncomfortable. But still, I can really give you a full purchase recommendation, especially at the price. You get the Kingzone K1 starting at 179.99 euros. And this is for the 720p model with 1 GB of RAM. The 2 GB RAM model with 1080p screen is priced at 199 euros, so still pretty affordable with 16 GB of internal memory. You can get the phone at efox-shop.com. which has also provided us with this device, and it is priced for the mentioned prices over there. So I hope you did like this video, I hope it was helpful for you. If so, please give a thumbs up, leave a comment and maybe even subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, bye and see you soon.